Greetings out there in YouTube land. This is Morris, man, and as always, I thank you for coming to my channel. At this point, I don't know what I'm going to entitle this video, but by the time you're watching it, it'll have a title. And it's kind of interesting. I did a video on what happened to the Isley Brothers as far as their sound, you know, and the stuff that they did back in the 70s when they had the musical genius Chris Jasper with them, who's related to them by a marriage, and he was the keyboard player. And he was kind of, I would say, the architect for their sound during that time. And of course, their sound now is different. And there's many reasons. Well, of course, one is Chris Jasper is no longer with them. And before I get into this video is about a posting by Jim by the name of Justin posted, and we talked about, you know, things. And before I even get into it, I just want to say, Justin, I agree with you. You know, the stuff today ain't like the stuff of yesterday, you know, and it's unfortunate. And his post was, or it read like this: R. Kelly destroyed the Isley Brothers with all that bullshit, Mr. Big stuff. Well, it depends on how you look at it. If you look at it in dollars and cents, no, it was quite successful. If you look at it from a creative, solely approach, yeah, I mean, I think most of us, and just about all of us, you know, things that are in the past, we try to measure and try to, I guess, compare things of today. And we all had our era. You know, I'm in my 50s, and my era was the 80s and some of the 90s. You know, this, now in 2019, I call this garbage time, and those who follow basketball know what that means. You know, but that's my opinion, you know. And if you're measuring the Isley Brothers back then versus now, of course, it's hands down, the Isley Brothers was the bomb back then. But this is what most of us don't realize that are not in the music business, because Justin goes on to say about, you know, the music today is garbage on the radio. From the music standpoint, music company, they don't care whether it's good shit or bad shit, as long as it's selling. You know, that's it. That's all they're concerned about. They're not concerned about the integrity of the music or bring in string players instead of a synthesizer, or, you know, get that drum machine out here, bring in some real drummers. You know, they don't give a shit about that. You know, they worried about their investment and their return. You know, so from that aspect, you know, the R. Kelly Mr. Big thing was a success because it sold millions of records. It kept Ronald Isley still working and eating, you know, because another thing that most of us, or some of us that are not in the music industry, don't understand and don't realize, those artists, that's what they do for a living. They don't have a second job or a first job, and then they just dabble in music. That's where their food come from. You know, living nice in these beautiful mansions and beautiful women and all that. And in order to do that, they got to keep selling products. So that's what they do. You know, they follow what's going on today's radio, because the radio music in general is not, music in general in the radio is geared for 35 and up, not 35 and older. You know, they don't give a shit about the 35 and older guys. They've had their day in the sun, and they're trying to cater to these young kids that's buying product. You know, so it would make sense for a Ronald Isley to get together with a hot producing R. Kelly and hook up some tracks and make some money. You know, I ain't mad at him. You know, I don't expect today's music to be as good as yesterday's by my standards, and that's the key. My opinion. You know, in my opinion, it's not worth a hill of beans. You know, but the big picture is they're selling product. They don't give a shit about, yeah, this do sound good, I like it, these are great musicians and great singers. They worried about making money, and that's all they're concerned about. And when you don't make any money for them, you don't hang around too long. You know, so from the music business aspect, that's how it is. Now, for just the average music enthusiast that buy music and go to concerts, yeah, you might have a beef if you're over 35 with today's music, but guess what? It's not geared for you. It's not catered. It's not. They're not trying to cater to you. They're trying to cater to your sons, you know, and your son's friends, you know, his clique, you know. So I thought I would post this because, again, when you're not in the music business, you look at things differently, and I totally understand that. But when you are in the music business, because I was fortunate, out of school, I landed a good corporate job, and I stayed there for 26 years till I retired. I was not going to go 100% free falling into the music business without a net, you know, because the music business can run hot and cold. You could be a success this year and make $1 million and tour the world, and 5 years from now, you ain't selling no records, you ain't making no money, you're not as living as good as you did 5 years ago. And that's the risk that some people take. And if you're lucky, it was worth the risk to take it. But for the most part, when you get into percentages as far as how many people that went out to try to get a record deal and become rich and successful versus the few that did, you know, the percentage between the two is a big difference. So I wasn't willing to take that chance. I'm like, I love music, but guess what I love more? Eating, living in a nice neighborhood, having money in my pocket, you know, being able to send my kids to school. You know, that was my biggest priority. I'm like, you know what? I can do the music thing, but not solely that, because if I just throw my eggs all in one basket and that shit, the bottom fall out and the eggs hit the ground and crack, you know, it's like, no, I'm not going that route, you know? I'm just not going that route, you know? And when you don't go that route and you do have a first job or a job and music is secondary, you can be selective in the things that you take part in. You know, because there were a lot of projects that could have made me a lot of money. I declined them because I'm like, that's not what I do. You know, from a musical standpoint, it's not what I do. From a moral standpoint, that's not what I do. I don't want to disrespect and degrade women. You know, because I was just talking with a friend of mine, and he was like, who's your favorite all-time rap group? I'm like, you know who that has to be? The Ghetto Boys. Because, first of all, they were just talented as hell, or are talented, and God bless Bill, Bushwick Bill, he passed away recently. And one thing I liked about the Ghetto Boys versus NWA, because they were second, and my partner NWA was one. NWA, as far as their lyrical content, was extremely male chauvinistic, extremely feminist. You know, they were very male chauvinist. They were very disrespectful to women. And it's like, I'm not with that. I'm like, you know, you can be very different in your music approach, dye your hair and play your guitar backwards and your pants sagging, but when it comes to being disrespectful to women, I'm like, I'm not with that, you know? I've had a lot of rappers offer me a great deal of money to produce their stuff, but when I heard all that bitches and whole stuff, like, no, dude, shutting it down. That's not me. Well, we're going to pay you. Nah, it ain't about money, man. You know, because when I think of that, I think about my mother. I think about my sisters. I think about my daughter. Would I want any man to treat them and talk to them like that? Hell no. So why would I do that to another man's mother, sister, or daughter? You know, it's not enough money in the world for me to send me that route. You know, there are other opportunities where you can make a good living and feel good about what you're doing, as opposed to, you know, what you're doing is fucked up, but you're just trying to make money. And it's like, I can't live like that. You know, I got a conscience. I'm like, no, I can't be doing that kind of stuff. You know, because what's interesting, and then I'm going to sign off. I had a friend. She used to sing in a band. And she contacted me and said, my sons are, you know, they rappers. And, you know, I know you're good at producing. Would you look at, you know, listen to them and see what you think? And perhaps you can, you know, help produce some of their stuff. I'm like, sure, no problem. And she sent me a tape. And these guys was going on bitches and whores. And I was like, and in the background, off to the side, there was this person. And I couldn't really make that person out at first. Then when I looked closer, it was her. I was like, wow, these guys are spitting this foul garbage in front of their mama. In front of their mama. And their mama okay with this. I'm sorry. I can't help you, you know. I can't help you. But again, I'm wrapping this video up. The purpose, again, of this video was to kind of give some insight on the music aspect of music, because to the average music lover, it's just music. But for the businessman, it's the music business. And they're running the business and they're trying to sell product. And they do whatever they need to do to sell product. You know, a lot of these old artists that are getting re-energized because of these new artists, ain't nothing wrong with that, you know. The music that they're producing now is not as good as the stuff in the 70s, you know, and it doesn't supposed to be, you know. That was a different era, you know. There was a sense of integrity before really greed kicked in big time and hard like it has now, you know, because there were things back in the 60s they wouldn't do that they do now. It's like, no, we're not trying to do nothing like that, you know. But unfortunately, as time progresses, things get worse in some aspects of life. And in some aspects, it get better. The technology today is just unbelievable versus back in the 60s. If anybody were to have told me, and I don't have it in front of me, that in you know, the 90s or around the 90s or late 80s, that there was going to be a device, a phone device that you can carry around wireless, and you can call anybody in the entire world on the face of this planet, and it wouldn't cost you an arm and a leg, versus back in the 70s when you were placing long distance calls to, you know, just out of state, not even out of the country. And you get that phone bill, and it's like, what the, you know? I would not have believed them, but here it is. I'm living in that era where I'm sitting here looking at a super large, big screen TV, cell phones, wireless computers, you know, and that's wonderful, you know. But I'm going to wrap it up. Again, I just thought I would give some insight on both sides, just the music enthusiasts and the people that are in the music business, the perspectives on each side, and they're totally different. And the majority of people that are music enthusiasts are totally unaware of the music aspect, the business. So that's why Justin feels the way he does, and I totally understand and I agree, you know. But again, you know, it's just a new day. And I'm just going to say this quickly because this ties in. For years, I write sometime for comedians because I'm like, I wanted to be a comedian years ago, but I'm like, I got the most respect for those guys because it takes a lot of guts and balls to get up there by yourself and present yourself. In a band, if you're not the lead singer, you just get on stage, play, and back up the lead singer dude, and you okay. Nobody really focusing on you. The pressure's not there, you know. But this is interesting because he said, and I quote, "The music that comes on the radio nowadays is garbage," you know. And here's what's interesting about that. I wrote a comedy skit, and it started off with my father sitting in his car, and I'm in the passenger side. And he got his music on, and I turned it to my music because he's doing the age of Billy Eckstine, Ella Fitzgerald, and my era is more or less Marvin Gaye, Smokey Robinson. And he'd say, turn that, you know, I turned from his station, like, turn that garbage turn it back away from that garbage. It ain't like the musical back then, Billy Epstein, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward 30 years later, my father passed. Now I'm sitting in the driver's seat, and I got my son in the car, and he turns my radio station to Usher and Little Kim, and I'm like, that's garbage, you know. Back then, Marvin Gaye was, you know, blah, blah. And the point I'm making is, and the point of the skit is, it's all about generation and era, you know. My father's perspective on music and integrity and quality was totally different from my perspective, and it's supposed to be, because I'm in a different era of music than he is, and my son is going to be in a different era of music than I. My daughter, I'm sure, does not listen to the stuff I listen to, and I definitely don't listen to the stuff she listens to. I don't suppose to. Two different generations, two different, I guess, musical expressions, you know. So I don't have to like it, but I do respect it. You know, I mean, I don't like to like it. Most of it, I don't like the stuff I hear on the radio. I don't even listen to the radio anymore. But I do respect it, you know, and that's what has to be, you know. I can't come in and you know, rain on another person's parade musically because they're younger than me and this is what they like. This is what they were raised or grew up to listen to. You know, if you take a baby right now and keep him isolated from the world of today and just let him grow up on Billy Eckstine, Marvin Gaye, Ella Fitzgerald, he grew up to appreciate that music because that's all he hears and knows, as opposed to the stuff on the radio. You know, he hasn't been exposed to that. So I think, you know, that's kind of how it is. It's all about what you've been exposed to. And what you've been exposed to, you begin to absorb it and just enjoy it and like it, you know. But until next time, take care and thanks for watching.